I've had 5 strokes, starting in 2007, all the way up to my last stroke was 2015, and 2 in 1 year, that's 2007, 1 in 2011, 1 in 2013, which left me paralyzed and with suffering with aphasia, and 2015. But I think I've, with the certain tweaking of my blood pressure medicine, I think I'm over the strokes finally. But you can never tell, because every year you grow older, so the possibility of a stroke increases. So, you know, and we've all got to die of something.
Well, I think you're inspirational. Like I said before, with your 5 strokes, you're still cracking jokes.
Yeah.
How do you feel that blood pressure was a contributing factor to your life?
I think 100%. And like I said, I've been diagnosed as CAA, which is cerebral amyloid angiopathy, which means that I have a propensity to have strokes because the lining to the blood vessels in the brain are covered with amyloid protein. And there are studies going on where they research how is it that some people are more susceptible to strokes through amyloid lining the brain vessels when other people are not. Everybody has the same amount of amyloid protein in the bodies, but they did a study on me and my wife, who is considered normal, because they are still researching it, you know, why is one affected more than others. The first 2 times are 6 months apart, and I recovered 100% from both of those. And I was only affected in my eyesight. One time to the left, I couldn't see, my peripheral vision was impaired. And one time in the second stroke, my right peripheral vision was impaired. So I took it as, you know, I've been here before and everything worked out right. So, you know, rest and I'll wait 12 weeks and then it might, you know, I'll come back, you know. But in 2013, I had this massive stroke, and where I ended up paralyzed and suffering with aphasia. So it meant that I couldn't not talk a word for at least 3 months, and gradually, word by word, my speech became what it is now. You know, sometimes my speech is better than other times. You know, Depends how much tiredness has a great effect on speech, and stress also. My aphasia is literally with the fluency of words, and I also suffer from uh, not being able to read. Um, I can read short excerpts of a sentence, but uh, I have trouble in scanning the words. So, um, boring book, for example, I keep returning to the exact same word uh, 2 or 3 times. I find writing is also a problem because I use a keyboard on when I'm sending emails, and no matter how I try, I have difficulty in finding each and every letter. So it would take me about 10 minutes to compose and write a couple of sentences by way of computer or on my phone.
My mum has a similar struggle and difficulty as well with her typing. It will be short words or sentences, which as a family, I get used to, my dad gets used to, my brother gets used to, and we understand that. But for someone who isn't used to living with someone who has aphasia, it can be difficult to understand that level of communication. What was it like for you when you first had your stroke to now? What has the journey of recovery been like for you?
Um, Considering that I recovered from my first 2 strokes, 3 strokes, relatively well. It's been no problem, but in uh, terms of recovering or dealing with my fourth, third, no, fourth stroke is amazingly frustrating. And I know now that um, um, improvement is going to be minimal, if anything, makes me really angry at times when I can't be understood. And but you have to learn to circumvent these occasions. One of the tricks I've learned is to pay everything by card, because you can hand it over, and and you don't get thrust with a fistful of change. And considering that arm doesn't work, you can imagine the concerns I have about putting the change in a pocket, and it isn't practical. All the things I plan to do in my retirement, I'm not able to do. I can't drive anymore. I really love fishing, but I can't fish because I can't cast out with one hand, especially my left. It's frustrating. I went through a period of depression when I had my stroke, which left me paralyzed. And I guess from going back to work too early also put me in a bad place, because I was self-employed running my own business, and I didn't want to let people down. And so I thought, having 3 or 4 guys under me, I could manage, but I ended up returning to work too soon. And in 2013, of course, I was totally, I couldn't go back to work. I had to, forced into retirement. You cannot enjoy the independence as you really wish that you could. I can't anyway, because I have problems with walking. My right hand weaknesses, right-sided weaknesses affecting my leg as well as my arm. And so I, if I would try to escape somewhere on my own, as you may want to do, it's not an avenue that is open to you.
Let's talk about Discover. How important has Discover been to you and your recovery?
I think the amount of support you get with Discover, it can't be recommended highly enough. Through Discover, I have learned to slow down my speech and speak clearly. I still find that the use of vocabulary sometimes evades me. Evades me, and I can't always get my true meanings across, and that is frustrating, because it's okay in straightforward sentences, but if you attempt to explain your reasoning at a deeper level, you find that your choice of words don't allow you to explicitly describe how you feel or what you mean. You realize that you are all in a different boat. I'm extremely grateful that I have managed to regain the power of speech, no matter how difficult it is. But I feel so sorry about some other stroke survivors are stuck on yes and no. We are all individuals, and we all have survived it in different phases or stages. Very important. And that's not to say I find it more difficult to speak on Zoom meetings because when there are so many of you involved, it's easily you're able to talk across people. You realize that you can't notice all the subtle nuances of face to face. But that being said, in lockdown, I was aware that not speaking to people face to face was impacting so much more on my language. And now that, you know, for example, we met at golf today, and speaking face to face with people is so much easier. Despite the shortcomings of Zoom meetings, they are, you know, they are to be recommended in the current climate. The thing about COVID is no matter how you God, mix with people, mixing with people is so important to regain your social life and skills.